The Western campaign to help Ukraine falls into two broad categories: military and economic aid going directly to Ukraine, and economic pressure on Russia. As we've been reporting, both took center stage at the G7 summit Monday. For more on this, I want to bring in Charles Kupchan. He's a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. Charles is also a professor of international affairs at Georgetown University. Welcome.
Thank you.
Charles, I want to start first with these additional sanctions that are being discussed: a cap on oil, banning Russian gold exports. A two-part question. One, how painful are those? And where are we on the scale of efforts to sanction Russia, and how much they may actually be hurting Russia?
Well, there's no question that they're painful. We've seen the quality of life in Russia go down. We've seen the difficulty that Russia has had importing important technologies that go into their weapons, that go into cell phones and basic electronics. But, and it's a big but, we haven't been able to really drain Russia's coffers. And that's because the sanctions against their energy sector have led to rising prices. And so even though they're selling less oil, that oil is bringing in higher revenue. And we're seeing revenues that are peaking, and we're seeing the ruble rebound from its initial fall in February. So in some ways, the most interesting measure that was talked about at G7 was this price cap on purchases of Russian oil. One, because it would bring down revenue, and two, and perhaps more importantly, it might help depress prices here and take the pressure away from continuing inflation.
And do you think they'll get an agreement on that price cap?
I think there's a lot of homework to be done. It's an idea that I think is new. It was introduced at the G7. I think there's a lot of interest in it. And that's because the pain is rising in our societies. We are seeing a lot of discomfort about the cost of filling up your car. In Germany, they're looking at gas rationing because they're not getting the supplies that they need from Russia. So anything that can actually depress the prices coming out of Russia, decreasing their revenues, and decrease the cost of energy here in Western societies, that's a win-win.
You mentioned the pain for those countries that have been sanctioning Russia. What's your sense of how that pain is putting political pressure on maintaining that coalition, on President Biden and other world leaders as they try to hold out against Vladimir Putin, who doesn't seem to be weakening?
You know, it's a great question. I have to give the Biden administration enormous credit for maintaining unity from the period before the war began right through to today. And I think the main accomplishment at the G7, and I think this will be continued at the Madrid NATO summit, is unity. The West is standing shoulder to shoulder, making it clear that Biden cannot peel off the United States from Europe or crack the European Union. But there's no question, John, that here in the United States, we are seeing rising political discontent. In France, yes, Mr. Macron, the president, was reelected, but 40% of the French electorate voted for a far-right candidate who was pro-Putin, who wanted to withdraw France from NATO's military structure. So I do think that the pressure that's building up, mainly from inflation, supply chain disruptions, will cause NATO to look for diplomatic solutions sooner rather than later. And that's because there is a political and economic blowback at home that makes it imperative to end the war sooner rather than later.
And that leads me to my next question. Ukrainian President Zelensky said he hoped the war would be over by the end of the year. But what does it mean for the war to be over? And in the context of your last statement, is there a big gap now between what President Zelensky thinks of in terms of the war being over and what the Western alliance would be willing to accept in order to get the economy and supply chain and all those other things you mentioned going again?
You know, we don't know the answer to that question. Zelensky keeps talking about victory. He keeps talking about liberating every inch of Ukrainian territory. Is that going to be possible? Probably not. The momentum on the battlefield has shifted in Russia's favor. They are making limited but still steady progress in expanding their hold in eastern Ukraine. I'm guessing that we're going to see a military stalemate of some sort emerge in the not too distant future. That may be when it's time to try to negotiate a ceasefire and begin some kind of diplomatic settlement. That conversation is probably occurring quietly behind closed doors, in part because Europeans are beginning to ask for that conversation to take place. Whether they make any progress on this at Madrid, we'll only know later this week.
And a final question, Charles, is the G7 is concerned with the immediate, the urgent, which is Ukraine, but also the longer term, the important, which is to say China. There's a commitment to spend $600 billion in infrastructure in developing countries. Help people understand why that's important, and how do you see that investment? Is that a big investment, or just how do we think about that?
Well, there's no question that from Washington's perspective, the most imminent threat comes from Russia, but the more serious threat over the long term comes from China, and that's because China is rising. Its economy continues to grow. Its military continues to grow. Its geopolitical ambition continues to grow. 2/3 of the world already trades more with China than it does with the United States. And I think what the U.S. is doing here with its G7 partners is trying to get back in the game, to create an alternative to what's called the Belt and Road Initiative. And that's China going out mainly into the global south and investing in infrastructure. The U.S. wants to compete with China on the question of who's going to be building bridges, tunnels, roads in Africa, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia. This is in many respects the beginning of a real Sino-American competition for influence in many parts of the world.
Charles Kupchan, thank you so much for helping us sort through all that. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.